Yes, the scar on Wilkins' head was exactly what we thought it was. An electronic device has been embedded in his brain, as you can see in this picture.
That explains the change in behavior.
Yes.
But how was he able to conduct Kidman's stigma research? I mean, with that thing controlling his brain.
It's like being under hypnosis. He could be manipulated by the power of suggestion, but he still retained his intelligence.
So, is it possible to change him back to normal? And is an operation necessary?
His family would like us to try.
The authorities have also consented. They want to hear his testimony in his normal state.
I believe it's possible, if the device can be removed without damaging his brain. Dr. Vaughn, I'd like to hear your opinion.
I think we should give it a shot. For the professor's sake.
Then, we should start considering the obstacles we'll face while performing the surgery. Dr. Everett, I'll let you know the time and the place once we've given this more...
Yes, ma'am. There is one last question I'd like to raise, though. It may have occurred to you already, but I don't blame you for not mentioning it. Who was able to perform such a difficult operation?
We'll be performing brain surgery on you, Professor. I'd be lying if I said it was going to be easy, but it's necessary to return you to your normal self.
I don't think he can hear you, Dr. Vaughn.
I'm a doctor, and this is my patient. He deserves an explanation.
Is he even aware that his name is Wilkins? Maybe you should address him as director.
That would be defeating the purpose, Val. Professor, if you know the name of the surgeon who operated on you, can you please tell me? Otherwise, we'll have to make our diagnosis during the operation. Do you despise me, Professor? After all, if I hadn't discovered stigma, then none of this would have occurred, and you wouldn't be in this condition. If only I'd done things differently.
You are mistaken. Stigma was destined to be born from the very beginning. It matters not who was responsible for its discovery. We are blessed to have witnessed such a marvelous creation.
Professor?
Can you not imagine the possibilities of the next generation of stigma? It searches for a way to coexist within the human body, and I intend to grant its wish.
What are you saying?
This isn't the professor. It may be his body, but there's something else inside of him.
We can't make any mistakes. Let's begin the operation.
Well, let's begin the operation. To begin with, we'll work on the actual implant itself. Before we can remove the plugs from use the forceps. I'm told that doing this will cause part of its functions to be suspended. But please be careful not to touch the objects rotating around. Please place it in the tray. The first chip has been removed. That's the second one. The next chip is the last one. This is the last chip. The affected area is over here. These 5 plugs are if we remove all 5 of them.
What are these lights on the end?
It seems that they light up when they receive because of the modifications we made to the implant. Please pull out each plug while its light is off. Be sure to pull it in the proper direction. It's out. Now, the first plug has been removed. Please move on to the second one. Pull it out. Now place it in the... That's the third one. We removed more than half of them. This is... Please make sure to pull it out in the right direction. Now put it in the...
Good, that's all the plug.
We've disabled the personality disruptor. Finally, we need to turn the implant back on.
Can't we just leave it alone?
The device is in an unstable condition, and it's apparently dangerous to leave it as it is now.
Hey, what's with this?
All we have to do now is place the chips we removed back into the center. But...
We have to put them in while avoiding those moving things?
yes, that will be the case.
Well, we're in no position to stop right now, but still.
Place that chip in the center. first one. Just 2 more to... Please be careful. That's 2 down. This is the last one.
There we go.
Great work. All steps of the operation have been completed.
I hope that this will return the professor to normal.
We'll just have to wait until he regains consciousness and see for ourselves.
Where am I?
He's awake.
Is he back to his usual self?
I see the operation was a success. I'm glad I didn't fall victim to my creation. To Stigma.
Professor?
His memory has reverted back to when we operated on him at Concordia.
Marcus, I've decided to take your advice and stop researching Stigma. I had a dream. Actually, it was more like a nightmare. So I'm terminating the project.
I think that's best.
You're not gonna tell him the truth, Marcus?
It's not for me to say. It's the director's decision.
Good. You're all still here.
You could have just paged us.
That's okay. I'm sure you're all tired from the surgery. I apologize for the short notice, but there will be another meeting tomorrow. We'll be discussing the international investigation of the Stigma Syndicate. Doctors from the other Caduceus branches will be present.
I'm concerned about the professor's condition, but I'll try to make time for it.
There's one other thing you should know, just so you aren't taken by surprise. One of the topics on tomorrow's agenda concerns Cynthia.
How so?
She's in Central Asia, Caucasus to be precise, and she appears to be there on behalf of the Syndicate.
What?
This group based in Caucasus calls itself Parnassus. The Syndicate was researching Stigma under their supervision. Their leader is a man known as Master Vahushti, who, according to our records, has resided in the United States under the name Ray Kerensky.
Ray? You've got to be kidding!
You know him?
He and Cynthia were seeing each other.
This man, Vahushti, is quite famous in the world of medicine. After obtaining a medical license in North Carolina, he and a friend started a business venture, which quickly grew into a major manufacturer of precision instruments and implant devices. That company is Columba and Cornix, a subsidiary of the Humani Corporation.
So Professor Kerensky is Master Vahushti. He provided me with advice regarding Elena's transplant operation. That bastard.
Excuse me. My name is Hans Nilsson, and I'd like to make a statement on behalf of Humani. Neither our company nor Columba and Cornix has supported the Syndicate in any way. In fact, it's quite the contrary. We, too, have become victims of their scheme.
Please save the explanation for later. We need to evaluate our current situation. Now, we've learned that an individual named Cynthia Kazakov has ties to Vahushti.
She worked here at Caduceus for a while. She was directly involved with the Stigma research.
And Mr. Marshall, according to a different report, Cynthia was a member of a secret research team for the U.S. Army and Humani. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I've been informed.
How far has the military's research progressed?
I cannot make any comments on that, except I've been informed that no research was conducted exploring military uses of Stigma.
Cynthia, how many people were you spying on?
She had the trust of Kidman, Caduceus, and the U.S. Army. We should assume that most, if not all, of the research data is now in Parnassus's hands. And I'm told that their level of activity has increased as of late. Dr. Stiles of Caduceus, Japan, who is dispatched to Caucasus, will now give us the details. I'm sure you all know, but he's the doctor responsible for saving the world from guilt.
Hello everyone. I'd like to take a moment to update you on the current status of Caucasus. While I was there, I treated a number of patients who'd been infected with stigma. Similarly, the U.S. branch has dealt with a variety of cases as indicated in their report. But the true problem is this organization called Parnassus, mentioned earlier. The local police are investigating the matter, with the assistance of the Russian army.
The United States will be providing support as well in order to crush Parnassus. We will be supplying both instruments and medicine, in addition to dispatching doctors from Caduceus.
I believe that's a very wise decision.
I've already volunteered you two. I hope you have no objections.
I'll go, and put an end to this.
I'd like to know the truth. I was friends with Cynthia after all.
This is Angie Thompson. She assists me with my operations. She accompanied me to Caucasus and helped to analyze stigma at the scene.
The research data provided by everyone was quite useful, but the stigma are showing signs of change. Unfortunately, they're not evolving to our advantage.
Could you be more specific?
They're beginning to multiply without the existence of colurium. And if they're doing that, then they're becoming much more infectious.
So then, someone's still researching and refining them.
The nature of these infectious strains of stigma changes as it spreads from host to host. However, there's a limit to the number of times a strain can undergo this change. They're planning to utilize this unique characteristic to their advantage by spreading stigma over a limited period of time and then allowing the pathogen to die out naturally.
So they're trying to tame the devil, huh? What a dangerous plan.
Its completion is drawing near. We don't have much time to lose.
On orders from Caduceus, we'll be going to investigate where these weapons will be heading to. We'll leave Caucasus to you guys.
Director Quattro has more detailed... It should aid you in your investigation of Caucasus.
Thank you. That's very reassuring.
These missions will be dangerous. But I know we'll all see each other again.
There's so much I'd like to ask a master surgeon like yourself. But let's wait until this is all over.
Yeah, when that time comes, we'll talk about the future of medicine.
Dr. Vaughn, the police have stormed in.
All right, Elena, head to the back.
How can they use that old castle as their base? Have they no respect for history?
Nobody would ever guess that a terrible disease lurks inside.
I guess they were trying to impress their buyers. Well, if this really... At any rate, storming this castle will be no easy task.
We have an emergency. The enemy's used a chemical weapon. A few officers have been hit.
Do we know what type of substance it is?
It appears to be a blister agent.
We need to treat them immediately. Elena, clean the patients and bring them into the operation tent.
Yes, Doctor.
They even had chemical weapons?
Doctor, we've received word that the analysis team is unable to determine what type of gas it is.
They don't know what it is? Is it some new kind of agent?
What should we do? We can't deal with an unknown chemical.
Wait. The patient's symptoms include those from existing poisonous gases. It's like the effect...
This will be risky, but we don't have any other choice. Beginning the operation.
Doctor, I've also... The affected areas should now have visibly different colors. Inject the antidotes into the areas with the same colors. Well, please open him up. Memorize the color and locations of the inflammations. Once you have them memorized, inject the sedative. The colors will disappear. The inflammations have been sedated. Do you remember? Please continue using the antidotes on the inflammations with the same color as the medicine. The sedative is still in effect. The inflammations seem to have been reduced, but the numbers are still high.
That means that more of them will appear soon.
More inflammations are appearing!
signs of inflammation.
They're still high.
There are more inflammations.
There's no reason to inject the sedative multiple times in a row.
Does it look like we'll see any more inflammations?
We can't let our guard down yet.
More.
All signs of inflammation have disappeared. His numbers are back to normal.
It should be all right now. Let's start closing him up.
Please close him up.
Send the data from the operation to the analysis team.
Understood. I think they'll be able to create a specific antidote using this data.
I hope so. I never want to perform an operation like this again.
Dr. Blaylock! The police have located Cynthia.
So she is here. I don't know what happened to you, Cynthia, but there's no way I can forgive you for what you've done.